Welcome back. This is Xcheer, and this is match 3 of stage 3 and friendly sealed 6 over at my series at peermtojoe.com. Thank you for joining me. I won the role, and this is the opener that I decided to keep. It's not the strongest opener, but it does have Nissa, which is the strongest card in my pool, and it does have 3 lands, which is not a bad place to start. Again, I just don't believe that my deck will give me a better 6-card hand. And as usual, I will skip the first few turns just to get things moving, since not much happens. My opponent plays the first card of the game with a Long Tux Cub, a very powerful card that I hope to remove quickly. I do draw the 4th land, but I still have nothing to play at this point, which is not helpful, and my opponent gets to pump up their Long Tux Cub with the Seed Sculptor. Instead of playing the Shield Guard, I do decide to use the Sky Whaler shot that I just drew. For some reason, my opponent decided to wait until in their upkeep added the energy to their Long Tusk Cub. I had debated using it at the end of my turn, or during my turn when my opponent was tapped out, in the chance they had Blossoming Defense. However, I decided it was probably better to make them use the energy, as the chance they had Blossoming Defense was relatively low. And as you can see, they did not, so I was able to kill the cub before it caused too much damage. And at this point, I do go ahead and decide to play down Nissa, as the 2 creatures my opponent has are very unthreatening at the moment. They do play the Self-Assembler, and if you do notice, they did actually have a second one in their deck. They get to search up, so their hand contains 1 Self-Assembler. I make another blocker here, and then go ahead and just lay down the Mastodon, which works out really well against the Self-Assembler. At this point, I just need to get some more creatures down. I'm a little concerned that my opponent might have something to cause problems. And here, if you notice what they do, is they use Destructive Tampering, which makes creatures without flying unable to block. So all 3 creatures I had were not able to block, and they just wipe out Nissa, which is quite problematic for me at this point, as it just makes it hard. It does allow me to get in with the Dawnfeather Eagle and hit them for 9 between those 2 creatures. However, my opponent responds by playing their own Planewalker, Ajani Unyielding. Without any kind of way to attack through at this point, I'm very concerned that Ajani is going to take over the game, as he's quite powerful. I am able to force them to trade essentially a Self-Assembler from a Mastodon after I kill one of the Self-Assemblers Nature's Way. And at this point, the best I can hope for is that my Osprey will keep Ajani at bay, at least make it so if they want to exile anything, it will kill Ajani. However, my opponent starts to get to reveal things, and the first thing they reveal includes 2 hits of the Welder Automaton and the Pima Outrider. They do not get the Shock, but they do get those 2 to their hand, and they have the mana to play both of them. And then on top of that, they play an Untethered Express. So this game is very quickly getting out of my reach, as I'm not drawing any of my removal to help me here. And I just continue to try and knock Ajani down. This time they reveal a Lifecraft Cavalry, which is good for them, and then 2 lands, which Ajani actually says non-land permanents. So they don't get to keep those, but they do get to keep the Cavalry. And so I go ahead and I decided to trade with the Pima Outrider, as I didn't want to open myself up to any kind of trick which my opponent might have had if I had double blocked with the Shield Guard. And I'm hoping to draw into something to handle the Untethered Express. However, at this point, my opponent has played a bunch of cards, and I'm simply just trying to keep ahead. At this point, however, my opponent can exile this creature or any of my creatures, and he can attack me with a 6/6 Trampler, a 6/6 Trampler, and a 5/4 Trampler. And so there's essentially no way for me to get out of this game, and I concede. Alright, and here's game 2. So I go ahead and play first, and my opener is 5 lands, which I should actually have shipped, as 5 lands just gives me a much higher chance to draw into more lands, and 5 lands is usually a fairly risky keep. Especially here, I don't have much in the way of action. I did bring in the decommission to handle all of the vehicles he brought in. So let's go ahead and get the game started. As you can see, my opponent started off pretty strong with a Narnam Renegade, followed up by the Kujar Siege Sculpture, which does give him a decent amount of power on the board. And you've noticed, all I've drawn at this point is land. My opponent here is also playing Implement of Combustion. They do have a little bit of Revolt, so at least for them it makes sense compared to my previous match's opponent. I draw yet another land, and my opponent plays their first Self-Assembler, which I just decommission, as I simply cannot handle what they would have on the board, because the next turn they'd be able to attack for 7. They'd have 8 with Implement of Combustion, which will be down to 1. So I just kill it and hope that I draw something better. However, I draw yet another land, so in the top 12 cards of my deck, there were 10 lands. I drew only lands for that game. At this point, there is simply no way to get out of this, as my opponent will have enough to kill me, as I know they have another Self-Assembler in hand, and next turn they're going to deal 4 damage to me and play a 4/4. So that is it. Thank you for joining me.